So for this warm-up, basically we're just solving triangles. And we kind of already talked about problem number 1. For problem number 1, when you plug the values into your calculator, you get an error. And part of today's lesson is going to be focusing on why this happens. But if you type that in correctly, you should have gotten an error. You should have done that. And the reason why is this is my largest angle. There's not possible to have more than one obtuse angle in any triangle. And so that means this has to be my biggest side. But it's clearly not. So that puts a huge problem in everything that we're going through. So that automatically means that you have no triangle. And you're going to have problems like that. And all I expect to see for you is to then write. And you can either write the word triangle or you can draw a triangle. I don't care. It's okay. But just know that that is a perfectly valid answer. On problem number 2. 2 is going to fit into what we're going to be talking about a little bit later. We still have our angle side pair. We start solving. You get that your angle C is 51.486. Then you find your missing third angle, 100.514. And your missing side, 12.566. You guys okay with that? All right. And then for the third problem, I've got a lot of extra work here because you really didn't need to do all of this, but I couldn't tell which one you were going to do. So no matter what, you had to start by finding either this side here or that side there. One or the other was required. If you're going to solve for this side, then your angle side pair pairs up with the 40 degrees. And then you're still going to use, what is that angle up here? If we have 25 and 40, what's that? 115 degrees. So you would say 100 over the sine of 115. And then you would either use x over the sine of 40 or y over the sine of 25. And I don't care if you use different variables. That's okay. I threw those in there for my sake. Okay. Once you find that, in order to find the height of this, you have to then realize I've just created a right triangle. It doesn't split this bottom piece up into 50. Don't assume it's going to cut it in half because it's not going to. But I have an angle. I'm looking for the side opposite, but you've already found your adjacent. So either using that triangle or this triangle here, angle, I'm looking for opposite. I would have already had the adjacent. So that tells me you would use sine to solve it depending upon which one you found. And either way, you should get 29.974 feet for both of those. This is a very common setup that you'll be asked to do, which is to use law of sines to start finding something and then finish it off with a regular trig ratio. Okay? Questions on that? All right. What about your homework for this guy? Do you have problems you'd like to see from your homework done? Zach, you're saying yes? Which one? 43? I think that's one of the ones that, yeah, 43. Okay. So the nice thing about 43 is, hey, at least they gave you a picture. So when I'm doing 43, I have 150 miles. I have 300 miles. I have A, B, C. And they give me, if I were to extend this guy out here, that angle there is going to be 40 degrees. Okay. So I am looking for, in this problem, that. So this angle out here is 40. What's this angle in here? 140. Y'all okay with that? So now that gives me an angle side pair. So now I can write 300 over the sine of 140. Now my problem here is this x pairs up with that a. I don't know what a is. So I got to go to something that I do have an answer for. So I'm going to go to C and this guy. So I'm going to say 150 and the sine of angle C, or Y, or whatever you want to use. So when I do that, I'm going to take 150 times the sine of 140, close that parenthesis, divide it by 300, and then what do I do with that answer? Inverse sine. Boop, grab it, good. And so I get that angle up there is 18.747 degrees. Can I find now what this angle is? Yeah, so I'm going to take 180 minus that, minus 140, so that other angle is 21.253, and we're all getting smooshed in there. Yes, sir? Did I hear to wait? You sure? Okay. And so then I'm just going to go back to that 300 over the sine of 140. Oops, put the 1 there. And that's going to be equal to my x over the sine of the 21.253 degrees. So still with all that stuff in my calculator, 300 sine of that stuff, close it off, divided by sine of 140, and I get that the x here, that dude, is 169.177, and we want to tack that label of miles onto it. Okay? And then it says, for part B, it says, through what angle should the pilot turn at city C to return to city A? Well, that means, I'm flying along this way. What do I have to turn to get to A? And if this piece in here is the 18.747, what are you going to do? Subtract it from 180. So I would say 180. And again, I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to reach up to that one, grab it. No, I didn't put a minus sign. 180 minus, reach up to that guy, grab it. And so he's got to make a turn of 161 degrees. 101.253 degrees to be exact. Okay? All right, you guys good with that one? Any others? Yes, sir? Okay, again, 37, they gave you the whole setup. So they gave you 60, 55, 150. And it says, how far is each station from the ship? You're just going to set those up. And so, what is this third angle going to be? Lunch. We'll come back.